Hi everyone, welcome to Nollywood Film Club podcast. I'm Mr. C of Iroka Critic. Hope you're doing good. New film to discuss. New film to discuss, but before we actually go to that, I just wanted to do a quick plug for a YouTube video we recently did. A lot of people might not know this because Nollywood Film Club has become the thing we are more popular in some spaces for, but we did start off as a YouTube video critics of some sort. But yeah, they are fun videos we usually do. It's of Gangs of Lagos, the recent one we've dropped. I hope you check it out. It's on YouTube, Iroko Critic, Gangs of Lagos. We usually drop videos with receipts, so they're slightly different from a more typical review. Hope you check it out. But that being said, back to Nollywood Film Club, we did have an interesting discussion. I don't think there is a there's not a pushback section, but I think there are a couple of pushbacks here and there, but there's not a designated pushback section. Shout out to some of the filmmakers that joined us in having the discussion. They're not from the film, but it's always good to get a filmmaker's perspective. But yeah, anything else worth noting? No. Just hope you guys enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing The House of Secrets. Anyway, but thanks guys for joining us today. We are Nollywood Film Club. Welcome. We discuss Nollywood movies every week or a Nollywood topic. Haven't done that in a while, but today we'll be discussing The House of Secrets. If you do want to join us up top, come up, request to be a speaker, or comment underneath the space, or use the hashtag Nollywood Film Club. We'll discuss the good, we'll discuss the bad, and if we have any qualms, there's a space for pushback, and then we'll give you a general summary of what we think. Okay, that's out of the way.
Are you rushing because you want to go to the Jacob?
hey, I just know this thing really well. All right, stop advertising that spaces on this space. All right, you guys, please tell us some of the things you liked about The House of Secrets.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are in the world. So good. Let me start with the good. The movie clearly has a lot of what's it called? I don't know how to speak English anymore now. A lot of takes a lot of inspiration. It wants to take. I think I see a bit of Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock in it. So it's like an Hitchcockian inspiration for the movie. I also say that it shows, what's it called? Planning. There is planning. The editing is planned. Like editing is planned. Like there is storyboarding in this, which is a good thing. There is a story, an intriguing story, intriguing in the world, like intriguing, kind of like you want to know what's going on. And the movie did make me want to know what's going on, which, if that's the goal of the movie, design. My gosh, very, very lovely. Now, is it an appropriate design? I don't know, but very, very good work. Colorist, at least there is some colorist. I will say it's also it's a very visual storytelling movie. It's very visual, and it's something that we haven't done in Nigeria in a little while. I think, yes. And it's very clear that it tries to be kind of experimental a little bit, and that's a good thing. I want to praise the movie for that. Performances, the older Sarah, pretty good. Daniel, and apparently his name is also Daniel in real life. pretty good. Pretty good. Then what's this? What's what? Mm. You know one thing? This is a movie that I can compare it to. Just because I'm comparing it doesn't mean I think they're exactly the same or they are equal. I don't know if anybody has seen Decision to Leave, right? It kind of has that kind of thing for Decision to Leave that is kind of like that sort of romantic, sort of like what's going on, thriller, something going on, but also very, very inventive, like camera work, cuts, and like set design. It is very, very clear that this is curated. It's a very created something, very created. And that's a good thing. And that's amazing to see. It's a very creative movie. And that's amazing to see. And that's the good for the movie.
All right. Thanks.
So wait.
Oh.
Dialogue. I'm sorry. I'm going to hold on. Where I'm trying. Dialogue is okay most of the time. Most of the time, it's okay. Yeah, I am actually glad this movie is. Yeah. Also, ooh. Hold on. The what's it called before the movie? What's the posters of the movie? The posters of the movie, very good. The campaign to promote the movie, very good. The trailer was very good. Very, very. I mean, also in the trailer, you can kind of see maybe there might be an issue, but yeah, the trailer, good. The promotion, something good. So there are many points in the production from pre to post of this movie that is like a lot of work and a lot of heart went into it, and I can say it, and it was good, and I enjoyed those moments. I think I'm done. If there's another good, I would definitely say, but I can't remember right now.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ayinka. Please feel free to put all your goods or likes in the comments below, and we'll read it out when we get it. All right. Okay. Omar, did you please tell us some of the things you liked about The House of Secrets?
Hello, everyone. What I like about The House of Secrets. I think I like the intention of this movie. I kind of like what they wanted to do with it, because it's rare for us to see this kind of genre, like a psychological thriller, you know, done in Nollywood. Like we've seen them before, but it's not not much enough, kind of. So I kind of like the intention of this movie. I like the idea, you know. So what else do I like? I like the lead character that is a Najiti Tide. I don't know whether I pronounced that name very well correctly. So I kind of like her performance. I like the way she speaks. So I like her performance. I like Funlola. I'm bad with of names. I kind of like her in some way, but her accents were just turn up for me. But I think that's the way she speaks. So I don't like her accent. The way she pronounces, the way she speaks, I don't kind of like it. But I like her performance. I like Femi Jacobs. Even though I didn't like the start of this movie, the way they were yelling at this. Okay, then let me go to my dislike. So I kind of like her performance. Whose performance? They're like, I think Ife really, she's a pretty girl. Do I like her performance? Yeah, a bit. I like her performance a bit. So I like Ife really in this. I like the set design of this movie. I think they had to, they invested a lot into it, and they were really, how would I say this? They were really intentional about what they wanted to do with this movie. I like the set design, and one thing about Niyi, I think most Niyi's films are the score. I mean, the score and soundtrack, they are kind of like okay. I think he invests into his soundtracks, because I like the soundtrack for this movie and The Man for the Job. I kind of like one song for Man for the Job. This song, where they were dancing in a dinner event. I kind of like that song where they were dancing salsa. I kind of like that song. I play that song almost every time. So this one too. I like this song, the soundtrack for the trailer, and I like most of the soundtrack in this movie. Um, what else do I like? The casting. I think they were intentional about the casting too, because um, the younger from Lola and the older from Lola's character, I think they kind of look alike. And Nagiti and Eferile, they work, casting them as older and younger self. They work. This guy too is not bad. What's the name of this? Panam, the guy that acted Panam. I forgot
Oh,
his name. Yes, Shofakwa. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's kind of good. He's okay. And what else do I like about this movie? That's all. I think that's all I can remember for now. That's all I like about the movie.
all right. Thanks so much, Dudu. All right. Ibu was sent in her likes. She said she likes the story, except for one bit. The performance, even the cat was owning her vest. The sound design and music, the use of silence in some scenes, the casting was good, the transition between scenes, the cinematography, even the makeup. All right. Thanks, Ibu. All right. So next, Timmy, please tell us some of the things you liked about the House of
Okay,
Secrets.
for the House of Secrets, first of all, I liked that the story shows a bit more effort to it was put as compared to other films. I really appreciate the hard work that was put into it. I appreciate the efforts that was put into it. We when they were sharing the behind the scenes and stills from the set, I was like, oh wow, yeah, they're putting a lot of effort into this film, and I really appreciate how all of that effort came to produce this quite impressive film. I liked how the story in the film kind of reveals itself like an onion, I guess. Like peels just keep on coming off, and you get to kind of connect the dots. And yeah, I like the chemistry between Ife, Irele, and Sean Farquhar. I feel like their casting was probably the best decision in the movie because their chemistry was very palpable. It was nice to see. The sex scene wasn't cringe. It was it was a good chemistry. There was good chemistry between the two of them. I also like the charisma of Sean Farquhar's character. That's Panam. I love how he came to save the day. I was giving bad guy vibes and shooting those bad guys all around. I also like the scene where when Panam was shot, the light turns red. I think Niyi Akinmolayan likes to do like he experiments with light in his films. Maybe not films he's exactly directing, but films that he's shy involved in some way. I feel like he tends to, yeah, sometimes plays with light and just does experiments. And yeah, what he did with that scene, it was really cool. Um, the cinematography, it also shows promise, and I've like if our cinematography is beginning to look like this right now, I really can't wait to see what the future holds. The music, I think, yeah, everyone who has praised the music was also impressive because this is what I feel like the Nigerian film industry needs to do in regards to music, not just like playing Afro beats in the background and just be throwing bunch of sounds up and down. An actual composed score, that helps to tell the story. That's really nice to see. I also feel like the movie was aesthetically pleasing. It was aesthetically pleasing, and it was cool to watch. Yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Timmy. Yeah, I think I've been saying it for a bit now. Antil's doing well with the score. There's small comma for me in this one, but yeah, there's something about that, that they both have the score, and it doesn't feel too westernized. I really appreciate that. All right, I think Shagun.
Hi guys.
Yo.
Okay. This for me. Okay, I mean, moving forward for me, I've decided that it just makes sense if we're going to be criticizing film now, we should criticize it within the context of what is available to us here as Nigerians and not look outwards. I think it's better that way so that we can appreciate all the work different people put in. So that being said, overall, this was a good film for me. I mean, it was exciting at so many points. All the characters delivered, but top for me was Najite. Najite did very well. I have not really seen too many of her stuff, but she did well. Potential also, I'm a big fan of hers, but she seems like the kind of person, whatever you tell her to do, she'll deliver on whatever you tell her to do. If it really for me, I hope I didn't murder her name. She was everything. I think for me, she carried the entire movie on her back. Um, her I mean, when you watch certain movies, there's just that one character that does it for you, that keeps you coming back to watch whatever it is that they're in. So for me, this was if it did very well. All her expressions, God forgive me. I had vivid imaginations, very vivid imaginations. In fact, all her expressions from 47 minutes and 11 seconds. Go back and watch it and see. There was just magic for me. Okay. What else? The cinematography was dope. I mean, I don't think for a while now, cinematography has been good in Nollywood. I loved all the angles, very creative angles, and the editing on some parts. Top for me was that cut from the top view, showing the patients. Then it now faded into the medicine cups. That was a very very dope. That was a very dope edit. And then time lapse of the setup of the space they were trying to use to jog Sarah's memory was also very good. Was well done. The idea of using black and white or noir type film for the flashbacks and everything was very creative. It gave a very very creative edge to the entire body of work. As a whole. It was refreshing to see, or it was very exciting to see, watch the end credits and just watch a long end credits as opposed to what we always see in Nigeria and just flash a few names and that's it. I sat down and I read everything, and that was dope for me. Um, what else was good for me? Yes, overall, top for me in any film is sound. The score, uh, the dialogue, everything, they did okay. Because I always tell people, because I saw someone made a comment and said, and nobody really sets out to make a bad film, and I said I disagree. If you do not take audio, so film is audio visual. If you do not take audio seriously, you're already starting out to make a bad film. So the audio was dope for me. They did really well, and again in the credits, it was very beautiful to see an entire team involved with sound as opposed to just seeing sound by and one name, because we've been seeing that in a lot of Nollywood stuff. But it's very very beautiful to see that there was a whole team involved in the creation in the sound process. It shows that Nollywood is listening to a certain degree. I think that is all I have overall. Yeah, the movie it was a great watch for me. There were no cringe moments. Even the sex scene was executed well. I mean, could be better, but it's better than what we're used to. And that's it. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shagun. I think it was Chinweke. Apologies. Please tell us some of the things you liked about the House of Secrets. Sorry, you sound like you're like 200 feet away from your phone.
Hello, is it better now?
Yeah, there we go. That's perfect. Yes,
Awesome.
perfect. Thanks.
Okay, so it sounds like a broken record to talk about the cinematography again, or the visuals in particular. I think I really love the visuals of the movie. Everybody brought that A game, from the DOP to the set design to the wardrobe guys. Like, you could tell that everything about the look of the movie was intentional. So I really love the visuals of the film. It's a really aesthetically pleasing film. The music as well was terrific. Like the soundtracks, the choices they made it really worked with the story. It helped the story. I also love the casting. The old and then the old and young version of the lead actress. They really did, like, that was really solid. Um, I liked there's a speaker that said something about critiquing based on what's available, what's on offer. So I had a lot of things. I had not a lot of things. I had a couple of things that I really didn't really like about the film, but I understand. I think I'm going to take that into account now, because sometimes some people will tell you that the cinematography should help the story, that it shouldn't shine, that it shouldn't be the thing that shines the most with a movie. But I think Ban is a star, so I don't think he can help that. So that's the only criticism I think. I'll just live with it, because the story, which to me, which personally I think is the most important part of a film, because it's about storytelling, and every other thing should help the story. I think the story wasn't as. I just think the visuals was a lot more focus on the visuals
Uh,
as opposed to the story. So it
Will it sounds like you're sneaking in some criticism into our good section. We have a bad section or things we don't like section. We will come to that. I'm just
okay. So it's just the things I like about the movie, right?
yeah, at this point, yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. Well, I love the visuals. Everybody involved in the visuals and the sound as well. I think that's the thing. Even yeah, I like the thing the person said about the pet. So yeah, even the cat brought. I don't know if it's a he or she. The cat Sha brought its A game to the film. So it was a really visually pleasant movie. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Miriam was on here, but it seems like she might be having connection issues. I'm going to read out some of the tweets that have come through. Ricky says, I love the connection between Sarah and Panam. It's also beautiful to watch. And she loves how they use Hausa, Efik, and English. It was really nice. Okay. Mrs. C, whilst the couple of people that have come on and off, what did you like about the House of Secrets?
So what did I like about the House of Secrets? I could see that there was thought put behind a lot of shots, which was nice to see. See that there was thought put behind stuff, so and just decide to point and shoot. So that's nice. Some things. Also, I think for the most part, I liked the makeup. For the most part, I liked the makeup. I think Efe is very beautiful. I liked the cat. What else did I like about House of Secrets? Trying to remember now. I like Annie. I like seeing her and stuff. And it was fine. It wasn't offensive.
All right.
I don't know. I think there was small romance. There was some romance. There was a meet cute, and
You're just saying things. Did you like them? Did you think they were done well?
I think some of it, yeah. I think so. I enjoyed some of the choices. I enjoyed the choice of a meet cute in the post office and the bit of flirtation and the the stuttering when you see somebody that just knocks you off your feet. I thought that was kind of cute. For a second, I thought like it was, I thought they aged up Vincent to play the older Sarah. So I was like, oh my God, but no, they didn't. But yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, no worries. Baby girl, not you, Mrs. C. Please, can you tell us some of the things you liked about the House of Secrets?
Hi. So I think I'll start for like my most favorite thing about it, which is the closing sequence. I loved it. I loved the whole black and white vibe and the fact that they didn't give us like a black screen. I think it was also Shegun that mentioned something around that. I also liked so there was this bit where they mentioned about Russia helping Nigeria or helping someone to topple off the democratic government. At first I thought it was like copy and paste from American movies, but then I actually googled it and saw that Russia actually helped Nigeria during the Biafra war. So I was like, okay, this makes sense. And I actually liked that some bits of it was verifiable. So I thought that was pretty decent. Also, there was the bit of finding Mrs. Eckert on Facebook, which I thought was brilliant because, the older generation will always be on Facebook, even though they are trying to hide something. So I was like, you know what? I rate that. And yeah, I think those were all the things I liked about the movie.
All right, thank you. Mildred, we're in the good section. Do you have some things?
What do you mean you're in the good section? Are you trying to say I never have anything good to say? Good thing about this film is somebody had a good idea. 1. 2. They knew they couldn't pull it off if they didn't have a good cast. That's the number 2 thing I like. So I liked Najite, what Najite brought to the table, and I liked pairing her up with Efe. She has the older Efe. And I liked the makeup. They had her really weather beaten, like somebody who'd really been locked up for a while. I liked Kate's character. She brought something. I don't know what it was, but it just settled me. There was a bunch of good actors, but we'll get to whatever. But somebody had a good idea, and 2, they brought good actors to help them execute it. That's about it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Mildred. Okay, so for me, the things that I enjoyed amongst like the scores that like people have said, and a lot of the shots, I wouldn't say cinematography as a whole. But the lighting for the black and white parts, there are actually some shots in this movie that I think like as beautiful as, like, if I saw it in a Hollywood movie, I would say, oh, those are beautiful shots. So like shots that I am not saying they're beautiful for Nollywood, that kind of thing. So I think they're all in the black and white parts. No. Yeah, there's some in the colored parts. But yeah, there's some really good, like some people have mentioned, intentional shots. You know what? Like I might not agree with it, but I pretty much see. I can hear the voice of the filmmaker of behind this story. I think it's relatively clear what he's trying to say. I don't agree with it, and I'll get to that other side later, but I think that's something though to like put in your sort of, I guess, vision and it come out particularly that clear. What else in performances? Sean Fakwa, I think I enjoyed for the most part, and yeah, I think that is it. Okay. So we're going to start talking about some of the things that we didn't like so much. And we shall start with the person we had first. Hey guys, please tell us some of the things.
You remembered the first one.
I was actually forgot. I was like, who? It's Vanessa.
So you didn't remember? Oh, wow!
So
this is an ongoing thing. It's cool. It's cool because of that. I apologize to everybody because my criticism may be a little bit. I'll try to be as brief as possible. I don't dislike this movie. This movie is okay. Like I said, it was creative. I didn't necessarily have a connection or care that much, but it was okay. Just the first. I'm going to start with like the most. It's still important, but in the list of something, I think it's a show-off thing. This guy, and I'm so sorry, the person who said it is an American thing. Russia did not help topple Biafra. In fact, it's the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union were on both sides. They were way Biafra, and it's like at the end it's something. No, but we're talking about a specific time, 1999. It's a copy of America. It's a copy of America. I don't get it. Why will in 1999 Russia care about Nigeria something? Russia in 1999 was going through its own internal nonsense. Like Russia was about to maybe be toppled, and Putin was not even there in 1999. Putin was there, but Putin was not the president. It was Boris Yeltsin. 1999 Russia does not have the money to be giving. Right? The 90s was the worst. This was when the Soviet Union ended in 1991, illegally ended, leaving many Russians in destitute in the 90s, even still to today. So where would they give the money to be given in 1999? Absolutely not. It's a copy of America. There's a reason why America goes Russians or Arabic or what's it called? Or the Arabs, or if you watch Korean goes Japan. If you watch China also goes Japan. If you watch there's a reason why some of those films from those countries mention countries that actually have an important history, an important geopolitical something to them. America has a geopolitical issue with Russia right now, or back in the 60s, all the way to the early 90s, they had an issue with the Soviet Union. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's one of the most stupid things I've ever seen. I'm just saying.
I guess
I'm sorry. Let me just let me rant. I'm not okay. Don't get it. But this is to point out this production company, and Niyi wants to be a Hollywood director, and it's okay. It's okay. He wants to be a Hollywood director. He wants to be an Hollywood director. He keeps copying American things and just putting it into Nigeria without no localization in any way. In any way. It is shallow. It is shallow copying. That's what I mean. Sorry. I just had to be specific about that, like the history of why that makes no sense. It is shallow and it is very shallow copying. And it's also very insecure copying because you're saying you don't necessarily want to get inspiration from the industry that you're working in because you don't believe that industry that you're working in is that good. You just don't believe in it. You don't believe in it. And it's so annoying because it comes out in your writing, it comes out in your movies, it comes out in the way you do things. Okay, then just Hollywood and work in Hollywood. The movie, the story. What is this? Sorry. The story is more exposition. And I know the last movie that we watched, I love exposition. But a lot of stuff was also happening on screen. It had so many subplots that the problem of that movie is that you didn't choose the ones that are supposed to be exposition and the ones that should have been visual. But that he didn't choose. That's the one with the last movie that I watched. But this movie, you don't have that many subplots. You don't have that many stories. And again, you're visual storytelling, but the lot of it is just a good amount of it is exposition. Exposition, telling us how the people feel. We don't get the actors to act. And some of the acting, I don't know. The one that is playing Mrs. Bamidele, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten her name. What is with her? I don't know whether it's an accent. It's not even if she has a accent in thing. She was overacting. And I don't accuse people of overacting. It was very pantomime. Very pantomime. It also, why is she looking outside the window writing about these people's lives? Is to help her remember her own life. That doesn't make any sense. I can tell you where that comes from. It comes from Rare Window, Alfred Hitchcock. I'm so sorry, this is the one that I Hitchcock. And I'm not saying Hitchcock is the best director ever. I'm not one of those people. But like, no, this is very low. This is why I was comparing it to A Decision to Leave. It's kind of had the same thing. Decision to Leave, amazing. They kind of have the same sort of themes going on, and it was just like, and they were both also doing visual palaba and visual something. But like the visuals in Decision to Leave actually make sense, and I like when I watch it, I like actually makes sense to the story it's telling. This visual, I guess, it makes sense to the story it's telling. It's better than Blonde. But it's so shallow, it's so visually stimulating that the story is just it's gone. They took a woman. It's more leading to twist upon twist upon twist on its own end. You get what I'm saying? Like, why would you build an entire thing to make this woman remember this thing? It is also, again, unethical, but okay, to make this woman remember this thing, and it's a document that maybe in the end is not necessarily needed. If this woman never got the documents never remember, I don't know why this woman had to go to make this woman remember the documents so that she can get the documents, that this woman does not remember the documents to give to the bad guy, but she's going to tell the woman that, I'm working for something. But okay, so in the very first logic, even the story told this to us in the first place, it was not needed. It was not needed. If you were the bad woman from all along, why are you working to undermine your own interests? Why is she working to undermine her own interests? What other interests? What? It makes no sense. Okay. No.
All right, I think I'm with you on of these things, but yeah, just so other people can get on. Just
okay, I'll be back. I have a lot of things to say about this.
All right. Okay. Thanks. No. I think, is it Timmy? Oh, Timmy's gone. So I think it should have been.
No,
sorry. All right, go on. What did you?
That's okay. I'll forgive you. So, can you hear me?
Yes. Can hear you.
What do I dislike about this movie? Let me start with some of the performances. I think at some point, Ife really was whining the way she was speaking. I was like, well, I don't know whether people like that in 1999 speak. People speak like that in 1999, but at some point she was whining like a Gen Z. I'm like, what's going on? And like when you said, is it from Lola Atoyebi? I don't know. I don't know whether that's her last name I'm pronouncing it well. So she was overperforming. I don't know. She was like, her face, her posture, everything, like she was doing too much, kind of. But I really enjoy it. What is performances? Yeah, the Daniel guy. At a point, when he said he's waiting to do his master's, I'm like, okay, this guy is a graduate. At some point, he was acting like he was saying in his far from home character. He was acting like a teenager. Like I was like, I don't understand. Though, I beg. So I think those are the few things I can remember now from the performances that I don't like. So going now, okay, like Incon was talking about 1999 something kind of like that. I think this movie is a fiction. In a fictional world, you can say anything, you can create anything. If you create your world well, you can create anything. This movie is a fiction. The movie never said I'm making a biography or I'm making a like a historical movie. The filmmaker never said that. So this movie is a fiction. I think we can pardon them for that, and nothing wrong with that. So um, in this movie, I really didn't care about anyone. I didn't care. Like, why should I worry myself about this woman? Because this movie was unfair to that. Am I the one making? Is it my phone that is making that noise?
I'm
Okay.
wondering.
This movie is unfair and because at the point I was like, why are they doing all this? Why are they, trying to make her remember what's the magnitude of the what the antagonist, the general attorney, I don't know what they called him, did. I didn't see it because this weekend I watched the movie. Is it Ugoma on Rock TV? And the villain in this movie was very interesting. Even the writing was not really that good, but the villain in this movie was very interesting, and I could see what the villain could do. So at the point, I wanted to stop the movie, but when the villain came on, and I could see interested, I kept on watching. And this movie is like 2 hours minutes long. I watched it from start to finish. So these are secrets, the House of Secret. Well, like about 40 minutes of this movie, I slept off because I was like, what is going on? You want this woman to remember something. Okay, now she's remembering. Okay, what's the magnitude of what the villain, the person you want to bring down, what did he do? Politicians could do bad things. There are a lot of politicians that they are in one office or the other now, and they've done bad things, and nobody is like, want to bring this person down. But what did the villain in this movie do? What did he do that you are trying to bring this man down? So why should we care for this character? So they brought the meet cute. Yeah, I love the meet cute, but I really don't care about their love story because at some point, Panam was saying when the lady told him I'm pregnant, Panam was saying, okay, I don't want a baby, you have to abort it. So I'm like, okay, you don't love this girl, that's why you want her to abort this pregnancy. And he never said it was because of the political thing going on. That's why you want the lady to abort the pregnancy. That was not the reason, but you don't just want the pregnancy. So I'm like, okay, why are you guys in love then? Why are you showing us this love story? So this movie was just unfair. Like the development could have been better. I really never cared about any character in this movie. It was surface level, and most times it was like they were telling us instead of showing us. The movie I watched this evening, there was one subplot in the movie. They didn't show us about the lady, but the way the lady was talking, because it was a subplot, so we didn't really need the whole visual kind of thing. But if you are talking about a main antagonist, a main character in this movie, you have to show us what this person did, so we could really care about your protagonist. What would this person do to your protagonist that could, make us care about the protagonist and, protect the protagonist? But you didn't show us that. And the revelation of the whole incident, I think it was, I would have seen, Mrs. This Fumi and Yatoebe's character, I would have seen her, reveal some things, like say some things too, but you were just showing us from Sarah. She was just revealing, and the revelation was kind of at the point I was like, okay, why I didn't have because it was not properly done. And the way they were yelling at the start of this movie, especially doctor will yell at your patient like that. You are trying to make your patient to remember something, and when even you have someone with memory loss, that's not how you make them remember. You don't yell at them. You might, I think it's okay. They are quite got the part that you have to like mix some remake an environment where they've been in the past that could trigger their memory. But the old writing love story, the noise, someone that the one time she was only in that train station for once, and they are trying to use a train noise to like trigger a memory. Like really, I still got the idea of the post office kind of like she might remember, okay, I was worked in a post office, but well, so I could have just done better with development of the story. I think that's all I dislike about the movie.
All right. Okay. All right. Thanks so much. Did you? I think to me, you're next. To me, you're next. There's a timer now. But it's generous. You still have time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So for House of Secrets, the bads. So, first of all, I feel like the film didn't feel real or authentic. I didn't feel anything throughout the film because the story was just kind of happening, and I really couldn't see why I should care about any of the events that was happening because okay, you show us the protagonist that okay, she needs to remember so. They said that the reason we need to root for her to remember is so that the bad guy doesn't become the president. And so, like, what am I supposed to do with that information? And they don't even tell us anything. They don't even show us anything about the bad guy being like about the antagonist being an antagonist. Even like them even saying that the guy was contesting for presidency did not feel authentic because what did they show us? Just a few flyers. They showed him on the polls. I don't feel like someone with that amount of power, that like amount of, that they are so certain he's going to win the election, should definitely be able to not just pull off more crowds at his apartment, which doesn't even make sense to me, self, because it's days towards the what's it called, the election, and I don't know, Shabo. Basically, this film didn't have any feeling towards it. I think that's the way I could put it. Um, Another thing is the plot twist was unnecessary. I think Ant Hill and plot twist are like 5 and 6. And while I was watching this film and I was just saying that way too, they've not done any plot twist. I was like until towards the end when like the plot twist happened and I was like yeah, that's what we were waiting for. But then the plot twist was unnecessary because it it didn't add or remove anything from the plot. It didn't help or stop our what will I call it, protagonist in any way from retrieving her goal. Now that I think about it, I don't want to say Mrs. Lawal was kind of useless in the whole operation, but she kind of was. I mean, yes, she did have her uses, but like, I mean, overall, if you're looking at it all in all, what exactly was she doing there? Um, Another thing was I didn't understand how Panam went from not wanting the baby to accepting the pregnancy. While I do feel like the relationship between Panam and young Sarah was like the best thing in the film, I still feel like it was basically everything that they tried to put in the story to make work didn't have enough, would I say, oomph to make it work. I really don't know how to explain it, but um yeah, another thing was is that the exposition in this film too much. And my problem is not even necessarily with the exposition, it's with the way things happen. They just keep on giving us information back to back, flashback. It's like I don't want to say a lot of things are happening too much all at once. It's just more like give, would I say, space or room to breathe between this information and this information. And with the way they were even giving the information, it also didn't feel authentic, especially with the places, I mean the parts where um adult Sarah was supposed to be recollecting her memory. That also didn't feel authentic or realistic because okay, you said that she has been in that place for 3 good months. Tell me what changed during, like, what triggered her to remember so well. what exactly changed during during the events of the film that made her remember so much so quickly? Like, yeah, I think that's all I can say about the blood.
Thanks, Timmy. I appreciate being brief as well. And these are questions I also had. Thanks for the comments coming in. I will read them. Let's just hear Shegun say some things he did not like.
Okay. Like I said earlier, I've started to criticize based on what is obtainable and what we have in our immediate environment and within Nigeria as a creative space. So that being said, yeah, the movie was fine. I don't have a problem with the story, like some people have said. The whole is fiction. Everybody has artistic license to do whatever they want to do, as long as you tell the story properly. Whatever story you're giving us, however you're giving us your story, make it make sense. That being said, the issues I have with this film is pretty much boiled down to details. For a film on this level, I think I've said it before, I think there should be a department in filmmaking called details direction or details director, or somebody that is involved with looking at so many. Because I mean, I can't believe that you've finished the product and everybody has watched it and you see most of all these errors and you still let it slide. For me, I think that's bad behavior. Specifically pointing out some of these details. When the little boy came in to hug Sarah, his elbow hit the typewriter. It pressed some keys. That, I don't know how they let that slide. She should have, I don't know, they should have done something there, because he hit some keys and she still pulled out the paper and said, "Oh, okay, please help me send this. It's done. My work is done." That didn't sit right with me. Maybe my own is too much, but that's that. There was a part where he went to drop, where Panam went to drop Sarah off at the post office to give the file to Kate's character. She stepped out of the vehicle and didn't shut the door properly, and they continued rolling from there. They didn't show him shutting it properly and all that. He drove off. That one too didn't sit right with me. Where he went to give us a John Wick performance underneath that staircase, that should have been executed a bit more carefully. I wasn't too impressed with that. The train battle, those prop guns, were very weird. I don't even understand from what era those guns were from. And then all the Kevlar and everything they are wearing doesn't look 90s to me. I don't know what 90s Kevlar looked like, but this looked like modern day SWAT uniforms. That didn't work for me at all. He got shot in the neck. There was blood splatter on her face, but they showed him twice. They showed his head twice. We didn't see the blood on his neck. We didn't see the ball. We didn't see him bleed out. I don't know how that happened. When Mrs. Lawal was killed in the president to be's house, that's the way the guy choked her was just bleh. Was funny for me. And then this whole trope with using bodyguards in black singlets, black t-shirts, and black trousers and black beret is, Nollywood should stop it, I beg. Should really stop it. Is nonsense. And some of them be wearing some kind of neck pieces that I don't understand what it is that they are wearing. Overall, even that, and they need to work out to direct this, because it seems like all these bodyguards are extras and not actors in themselves. And you will now see that they have some very pivotal roles, and then it just seems off when they are not executing their characters properly. And as speaking of extras, Nollywood needs to work on extras. There needs to be a separate director for extras, because extras in themselves are actors. So you need to put in more work. You can't just have people just strolling about and you tell them, "Okay, action. I want all of you to look surprised." And then, like the extras in the train, the extras that were doing the campaign on the streets, the women that were outside the president's villa, all that was very cringe for me. And then the antagonist himself, the president himself. First of all, the person that he used as a character, I'm tired of that person's character as a bad guy, top boss, somebody. They should try somebody else. And then secondly, there was no effort put into somebody that is that powerful, somebody that is that dangerous. There's a lot more that you should have given us to explain how dangerous this guy is. It was weak. Even when they confronted him at the end, and for me, I think when he went to drop her off to hide the file, the whole thing just started to spiral from there for me. There were just so many mistakes. The fire incidents were all very shoddy. The fire where Ketenshaw came out of the post office, it was all smoke effects. The fire at the Keteshaw's house, just smoke effects and flames and all that and all that. And our star boy that rushed into the building to save the fire came out still with a very neat shirt. All the lights were still on. The lights that they used to light up the picket fence on the ground, I could see all of them, and all the lights were still on as if the whole place was set ablaze. I mean, for me, it's weak. All these kind of things are. There should be no excuses for overlooking all those things. Even the part where he fought with Malik, he struggled with Malik in his apartment, and he killed Malik, and he told her to leave. He'll take care of it. I expected them to even make a show of him cleaning up the apartment, because when Ketenshaw came back after the fire, the curtain had changed. Everywhere was clean, as if he called in some cleaners to clean the crime scene. That's for me. Continuity there wasn't working for me there. What else? Yeah, I think, okay, I mentioned the fire incidents. All the fire incidents were weak for me. They should have worked on that. So I mean, that's basically it for me. It's just it didn't really take away much from the movie for me, because it was an improvement of what I've been seeing. So a lot of things made me happy. So all those things are things that I feel mistakes and errors that shouldn't be repeated on your next project. There are things that you need to look out for. And the disappointment for me was that these things are obvious. It's not something that is so technical that I'm trying to explain it to you and then you're not seeing it, and then it's like I'm the one that is crazy. Everybody watched this thing after they had finished it, and there was nobody that could say, let's correct this in post. Like, okay, we cannot reshoot, but let us hide this, or let us cut this out. You just leave it to go like that, which is my problem. That's my grouse with Nollywood. That attitude of leave them, they go watch them like that, they no go complain. I think we need to start to step up beyond that and start to really, really push for excellence in most of these things. Yeah, that's for me the bad. Like, I won't call it bad. I'll just say details that they need to focus on. That's it for me. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Shagun. Read out some comments, and then we'll go to, I think it's Baby Girl. Oh, no, it's Chinwike. All right. First, as Emma said, I think the things I liked have been mentioned already, so I'll speak up on one thing I really hated about the House of Secrets. Had to be the use of Hausa. Banam wasn't even a Hausa person, but they had forced the Hausa on him, and it was poorly executed, to be honest. Where he and the other officer had an altercation was one of the most cringe moments in this film because of the poor Hausa. Every moment a character opened their mouth to speak Hausa, it was just appalling. If a person can go to the gym to get a good body for their role, how much more little commitment in the little Hausa lines on their script. Thanks. Ezra of Cardinal has spoken. So yeah. Do better now, 22 says Nollywood films are not getting better, and it's sad. Mildred with some pushback. Why must it be realistic in terms of them using Russia? It's a movie, for goodness sake. Can we have artistic license sometimes? And Triple A says Funlala's character actually called for exaggeration because her way wasn't pure, made the viewer question why it was so deep for her, and that was answered toward the end. Not for me, but okay. So yeah, Chinwike, what's some of the things you did not like about the House of Secrets?
Hi everyone. Okay, so a lot has been said already that I would have pointed out, but so I'm going to try. What I didn't really like about the film was the story, which, like I said earlier, I think is the most important part of the film. I did not really like the story. A lot of it did not work for me, which a lot of people have pointed out in details. And I think why, as I'm a filmmaker, so I understand that sometimes these things don't come out as you intend, because what they wanted to do was very ambitious. The story they had, I think the problem was with the execution, not the story itself. And that's where I have a problem, because I believe they can do better. I believe they can do much more better than this. Because if you look at the cinematography, the other aspects of the film, the set design, just the visuals, if you look at the visuals were really excellent. So I believe they could have invested a lot more effort into the story, which is the most important part. And that's what I didn't. That's what I didn't really like about it. I felt like there was a bit of lack on their part. So you can pick apart stories of from any film really. But I think what I really didn't like was the lack of commensurate effort in the story. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Baby girl, do you want to tell us some of the things you didn't like about the House of Secrets?
Yeah, I'm sure. So my number one was them using Kate Henshaw as the post office lady character. It was already kind of telling that she was going to have a big role in the movie. And I think when you use characters that have already blown, quote and unquote, for roles like that, it kind of gives away your story from the start. So what's the whole point? Like someone was saying in the comments, it didn't give House of Secrets because I don't like there were no secrets. Like everything was becoming obvious as the movie was going on. That's my first bit. The second one, and I think I tweeted this when I was even watching the movie, that I could literally see what's her name, Ife's C-cut frontal in the 90s scene. And I'm like, come on, guys. Like, how many 90s Nigerian women used to go around with their hair like this? Come on. Ketensha's hair in, like, the post office made sense. But then the C-cut frontal was just the obvious. I could literally see the lace. So yeah, like I think Shegun said like details. The bit for me about the story was it was just boring. Like it was a boring film. Like as much as I didn't like it, Giacomo, I thought it was interesting. It wasn't a good film, but it was an interesting film. This film, I didn't think it was a good film, but I thought it was very boring. Like I was struggling to get to the end. I typically wouldn't watch movies and use my phone at the same time, but like I couldn't help myself because I was like, where is this going? Is this movie about love, war, politics? Like what is it about? It was dry, like beginning to end. I didn't feel anything for any of the characters. The motive, like there was no motive at all. Like it was just dry. So I thought that was like it didn't know when to end. Like if you are going to film a boring movie that you are telling us instead of showing us, like everyone has said, like keep it at like 1 hour 20 minutes or something. Like give us the order of things and just close. But then they didn't know when to end. It was just long and boring. I wrote that the action scenes were actually ridiculous. I thought it was laughable to be honest. And like Sean Fakwa would just come out of nowhere and start shooting up, down, left, right, and center. Didn't make sense to me. Also, in the scene where he killed his friend in his house, if he comes up and like stands behind him, she didn't shout for like 5 minutes, and then he looks back at her, and then she drops her load and starts shouting. I was like, "Come on, girl, give me something." So, okay, notes. Mrs. Lawal, I thought her acting was ridiculous. I thought it was poor. I thought she was overacting. I thought generally the acting in it wasn't quite great. I also hated like the boy girl banter they were trying to force down our throats when they were talking about the gender. Oh, it's a boy. Oh, it's a girl. We've heard like you don't have to say it 20 times. Um, yes, the fire scenes. I thought it was ridiculous that there was a fire and they were all just standing there and talking and covering their noses. And I'm like, can't we leave this place? Why are we just all standing here? And then when the Daniel character runs into the house, like it was obvious. Like I literally wrote in my notes, cartoon fire. Like the fire was just giving like a PowerPoint filter or something. So I didn't really like that bit. Also, I think someone else mentioned the strangling scene. Like it was terrible. Like I thought they could have just used like a paper bag or something and put it over her head and like squeeze. Like I thought that would make more sense. Like the way he put his neck over, sorry, his hand over her neck. I was like, huh? Please, it's not giving. Then yeah, I thought Daniel being her son was unnecessary. The story could have like done so much more without it. And like the way they were shouting at her in the beginning, like somebody mentioned, like it's obvious like you're trying to get something out of her. They didn't leave anything for us as the audience to figure out. They were just telling us this was going to happen, this was going to happen. And I think even from the synopsis of the movie, I don't know how much control they have over that with regards to Prime. I thought the synopsis did like a pretty bad job of saying what the film was about. It literally told us the film. Oh, they are going to put her in a house to try and make her remember. That's something that like we should find out because they are doing such a great job, but then they weren't doing such a great job. And then also, I think they were just trying to tell us that it was the 90s. Again, because you make something black and white doesn't mean it's old. Like, it could just be like a vibe. So yeah, I'll give other people like the chance to speak, but that's like my first set of bads.
All right.
Sorry, no, I just have to say, baby girl, thank you for talking about that lace front because it stressed me. It stressed me. I had to go back on her Instagram, check her hair. I'm like, okay, if it has hair, we could have done a blowout. We could have just done a leave out, done some natural hair type texture and styled her hair. It did not need to be a lace front. So thank you for that, baby girl.
All right. Okay. I think next we have Ism Kaduna.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yeah. So I just want to just focus on one particular issue that I have with this film and a lot of Nollywood films, and that is the use of Hausa. I think I made a comment about that, but I said I need to express myself more. Like, we have films like this film about Panam Peter. Panam Peter is not even a Hausa name. It's not a Hausa guy. So why was there the need to force the Hausa down our throats when they clearly knew that they would not execute this thing properly? Like, every scene that Shamfaka was speaking Hausa, it was cringe. It was an airsaw. Like, there was no need for that. There was no need for a Hausa accent. Panam is a Jos guy who is clearly not Hausa. One of the tribes. The name Panam is from one of the tribes in Jos, which is not a Hausa name. So why are you forcing the Hausa accent? Except we are going with the stereotype that everybody from the north is Hausa, which is it's even worse than even doing the accent thing. So I just feel like there was no particular need for Panam to have a Hausa accent or even speak it at the least. We are just gone with the English flow and everybody will be happy. We'll share the grace and nobody will fight. But they just had to force it. The worst part of it was at the train station. The house, no, that was not the worst, but that one was so annoying. Whatever those guys were doing there with the Hausa there, anybody who understands Hausa will know that that was just a mockery of the language in itself. And then one of the craziest things is that there's a scene where I think Sean Foka and his friend, yes, Panama and his friend were arguing and they were chipping in Hausa lines. Oh my god, that was stupid. But it is more annoying that the director of this film actually cut that scene and is, I don't know what to use now, parading around Twitter as if this is one of the best things that happened since sliced bread. It means that Hausa is not even, maybe they think Hausa people don't watch their films or they don't consume their content. I don't know. Because if you can have that, I don't even know the word to describe whatever happened in that scene, but you can have that in your film and you think that is actually a good thing to actually shout, oh, this was on one take and all that. Like, guys, doesn't make sense. Like, if somebody can go to the gym for 3 weeks, months, to get a good body for a particular role, how much more 3-4 lines for a movie, guys? I think that's just all I'll say.
All right. Thanks, Ism Kaduna. Rotimi, do you have words you wanted to give us? We weren't here for the, so feel free to say things you like as well. But try and keep it a little tight.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my good part, I've dropped it in the comment section. So my good is already there. So the bad parts about this, a lot of things have already been said. I think Maximus kind of hit a lot of points that I wanted to mention. But there are some other things that, like, I'm actually going to go a little bit more technical and just bear with me. Like, there's a discussion happening between Daniel and I forgot the main character, the lady that is trying to get her memory back. And I always, this thing kind of does my head in because it's one of those basics. I'm sorry, but it's one of those basics that people tell me about. This was one of the first things that I was taught about crossing the line, about where you place your camera so that in relation to your character, so that when your character is talking, if a character is on the right, the person is speaking from the right to the left. If another character is speaking to the character on the left, the person on the left that when you see them in the camera view, the person's supposed to be talking from left to right. When Daniel and this woman are talking, he's talking to the right, she's talking to the right. So you're crossing, some of them are looking in the same direction while they're having a discussion. It's a small technical thing, but it always does me like when I see a movie like this and I'm like, because there's a lot of work was done into the cinematography and art design. So it's a small detail that I'm like, why is this particular thing? And what happens that it also gets by in post. One of the ones that is almost like literally, I'm like, this is not like if there was cinema scene, this is unforgivable. When the lady, I forget her name, the main character, when she breaks out of the staged house, when she was trying to run away at night, when she was with the crowd, and she's running from the crowd, when the scenes were changing in the flashback to black and white, you can see, if you look to the left of the screen, you can see the shadow of the camera. Like the camera shadow is at the back of the crowd. So that means the light is behind them and the light is also on the camera. And the camera is now, you can see the shadow of the camera literally at the back of the crowd. And what does mean, like, even if it happened on set, how does it get by in post? So that the person in post didn't see it. At least, okay, you see it in post. Can you not zoom in just to even if cover that up? So anything said about those fight scenes, I'm sorry. I'm like, for the fight scenes, every time when there was a gunfight or a fight, whenever there was a fight scene, I was literally laughing. Like the most laughable one is at the train when they surrounded Ife's character by the train. The guys, the extras in that particular place, I'm just like, for whatever who casted them for that place, they looked out of place. They were all of them with their papa's cap. I was like, okay, these guys look kind of funny. Then Paran just shows up. Like, where he showed up from? Which angle he showed up from? Where's they shooting from? I'm like, where did this guy come from? Bah, they were dead. I'm like, what's going on? Like, okay, that one's gone. Then the fire scene. I'm not even going to talk about the fire. I'm looking at art design. So in front of Kate Hensshaw's house, you have this small picket fence. Just in front of the picket fence, you can literally see the tubes. If you go back and see it, you can see the tubes, like tubes right on the floor. And they don't look practical because there are ways that people hide, like they'll put a lamp in the scene and they're using it to hide a light. So it works as a practical. That's not a practical. It's obviously a set light. I can see it like literally. And it's like, okay, the light is right there in the shot. The fire, I don't want to talk about the fire. The fire effects, I don't know. I can't say anything. I'm just dumbfounded because there was a lot of things. Maybe I'll still say that a lot of things for the art design, to try and use art design to tell a story. I think that's nice. I think that's a good thing for Nollywood because it gives you more control over your story. But these small technical details kind of they are too obvious, too blatant to overlook. Like the mistakes in terms of the shadow with that tube. Just then Kate Henshaw's choke out was like, that's not choking, bro. That's a hug, like a tight hug. That's not you don't choke somebody out that way. You have to put your arm around, you have to get directly under her neck, and your other arm has to put pressure from behind her so you know that you're choking her. That was a hug. But yeah, overall, yeah, that's my own 2 cents. I'm done. Thank you.
Right. Thanks for it to me.
I just don't know how you know so much about choking, to be honest.
All right, let's keep it PG.
I've choked somebody before.
Like, have you been a hand assassin in your time?
I've choked somebody.
Did you moonlight as a
No. I watch a lot of UFC. Then I've also choked somebody before on a movie before. Yeah, so yeah.
But to me, you've taken her joke and you just implicated yourself. Everybody's mad at somebody now.
But then I was to me, you're right. Like, I saw that choking and I was like, it's so gentle. Why is he so gentle?
All right, it's your turn, Mrs. C. Please go.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes.
So we start with the choking. Okay. I think my biggest problem with this film was the story. My biggest problem with this one was the story. The more I think about it, the more it does feel like the setup. Just in this, oh, look at all this stuff. And then when you really think about it, it doesn't tie and it doesn't flow and it doesn't make as much sense. And it's just, I have very limited reason to care about what happens. It's just, I didn't care, right? Because you've set up this, we have her in this house, and I'm already going, okay, these people she's writing about, I'm already thinking, okay, she's not particularly a good writer, right? Because I'm hearing her writing and she's narrating her writing, right? I was like, this is not exactly good writing, but sure. It's like, okay, she's making all this shit up because there is no way she knows what they're arguing about, right? But obviously, okay, it's her past. We're thinking about it, whatever. Let's not think too much about that. But I don't know who mentioned it. Like, yeah, when the doctor is asking, it's like, okay, it's very obvious that you have ulterior motives, like you're trying to get something out of her, right? This is not just a nice, quiet session. But also, I'm like, has a because I'm assuming he's a psychologist, right? And they didn't pull in a gynecologist to come try and deal with someone's memory issues. It's like, has anyone spoken to a psychologist, right? Or a psychiatrist or anyone who would actually deal with stuff like this on how that kind of session would go? Because it seemed like amateur hour, right? When he was pushing on, oh, the number, look at the letter. Yes, the number. Yeah, it's like, such an easy way to shut someone down, right? So I was like, it's given amateur hour for the doctor, but what else? Maybe he's a quack. And could have been, right? But then everyone is obviously putting up an act. And it's obvious to us. And it's like, okay, you want us to know that these people are not legit, right? Or is this problem we have when you're acting within a movie? So when people in a film are playing a role in the film. Does that make sense? Right? I'm not losing anyone here. And it's this, they now have to show us that they're acting. And I don't like it, right? Maybe it doesn't bother other people, but it bothers me, right? It's just become that person, right? Because you're showing us that you're this person who's doing this thing. No, do the thing. And then your reveal is going to make sense, right? Then your reveal is going to go, oh, the woman with the accent was not a maid after all. Right? Do that. So you start losing me there, right? I already know something's up. Obviously something's up. The trailer tells us, but like, suck me into it. Like, give me some suspension of disbelief. Okay, cool. We've done a whole big reveal. It's like, yes, she knew some other information all along, but we're supposed to care about this file, right? Now, I'm willing to leave, like, I don't care, like, that it was Russia or whatever. I think as long as the world that the film is in establishes that that's what it is, that's what it is. But then you tell me, in Nigerian, that if we find out this file and we find out that we can prove that this person tried to topple democracy, he would definitely not win this election, right? We have this other favorite, right? People want this other person, but this guy has money to buy the election. But if we show that he tried to topple democracy, he will for sure not win. Even within the context of the film, it doesn't make sense, right? You're not telling me, oh, this person's a better person. This guy has secrets and has been able to bamboozle the people. But if the people find out that he tried to topple democracy, they're not going to vote for him. No, you've told me the people know his shit, but he's paying for it. But we're going to blow this scandal and it's going to make... It already doesn't work. Even within the film, your file is now unimportant to me. Your whole big thing about how important this file is, you've undermined it. It's not important, so I don't care. And I think that's kind of it. Like, it loses me, right? And I just got like the meet cute and all that stuff. But I kind of lose the love story as well, because it's like, I'm pregnant. You're trying to trap me. And now we're making out on the balcony. I'm like, okay, so y'all are not serious either, right? And yeah, the 90s, it's just black and white. It's just black and white. She has a lace front, right? They've pulled out some vintage car. And it's like, yeah, it's the kind of vintage car you pull out to have a pre-wedding shoot in, right? It's not, you're not setting the scene. You're not truly setting me the scene. Like, you set it up like your grandma's house and you've pulled out a vintage car from a pre-wedding shoot, and that's cool, that's chill, that's 1999 to you. It's just like, throw me whatever tropes you think I can find from the good old days. And it's just, okay, it's not working. And I think someone mentioned it, like the police, the fighting in the car, in the train. It's like, it doesn't feel like 90s. It feels like the setup. It feels like something we would see in a 2023 film, Gangs of Lagos, Brotherhood, whatever. Brotherhood, the SWAT team from Brotherhood, that's what they look like, right? And we know Brotherhood was not set in 1999. So it's like, that's throwing me. All the karate that everybody knows, I'm like, maybe it's Triple X division in the army that trains in karate, right? But everybody knows karate. Her husband's James Bond all of a sudden, and he's gonna John Wick this thing and take out the whole train and they shoot him in the neck. And I think I'm gonna leave this to you because you're the one that mentioned like how did they get her convinced of shit? Because she had amnesia, sure, she forgot a bunch of stuff that has happened, but she knows time has passed, right? She knows time has passed. She might not know exactly how much time, but they did tell her, like, the people who imprisoned you, we need to bring them to justice. They imprisoned you wrongly. But they set her in 1999. And it's a secret from her that they're trying to jog her memory with a familiar setting. So how does this work? It doesn't. To me, anyway. The story doesn't really work. It doesn't seem important. The big MacGuffin, the big all this drama around it doesn't work. So it loses me. I'm not interested. I'm not invested. And it just feels like a waste of time. Well, it feels like time passed. Yeah, that's me. That's my bad. My big bad is the story.
All right. Okay. Mildred is coming up. I'll let Mildred speak before I do my one. But yes, that part about, I just had to think about just the framing. When I do my own, I'll tell you all about how everybody's plan is kind of dumb. But I if you think about the protagonist and how this starts. Okay, so she's been locked up in a psychology. What did they drug her and did she not see all the cars that have been passing, or does she think this is? I don't really know what is going on in terms of what's supposed to be going on. Like, if you just, does she think it's 2023 and she's in her same house and using is that what's supposed to be going on? I'm not even sure, because they went through all the effort to like make everything 90s looking and all of that. I mean, it might as well have just put her back in and not anyway. We'll get to that later. Mildred, please tell us some of the things you didn't enjoy about House of Secrets.
Okay, so if I talk about the film, but of course you guys know I'm a filmmaker, and Nollywood they always do whatever about talking about each other's film. But when I come to talk about the film, it means maybe I saw something that's good, and I can talk about it. And like I said earlier, that there was a good idea, but it just for me, it wasn't executed well. And I think it's also this rushing. You can't have that kind of idea and rush through it. That story needed at least 1 year of celebration to get all your timing right, to get, just like Mrs. C just said, you have to buy people in. The stakes. When you first get a good idea, the next thing you're going to do is create the stakes, right? If somebody brings you a script, you have to find out from the script where I call it the all the big points where you're going to suck people in, and then you build on that. So I don't see it here because I just don't think that somebody took the time to say these are the big moments, and we need to make sure the audience know this is what's going on. And that's why somebody would say, look, I really think it's a waste of time because I don't see why anything is important. Yeah? So that's one. The stakes were not high enough for me in terms of the things we brought out to tell the story. He didn't show us some of the major things that were supposed to be shown. So how do you know what you're going to show us in the story? You first ask yourself what the story is about. So what is this story about? There are 3 ways you could go about it. It's the story about a woman who was locked up for years and she knew she had secrets about somebody a general who was really bad many years ago and is trying to be president now. And these people now, a bunch of people who don't want him to be president, do bring him out to tell the secret. Is that what the story is about? Is it a story about a general who wanted to become president and a group of people tried to pull him down? Or is it a story about young progressives who want to make sure that somebody that was bad back in the day doesn't become president? Those three things I mentioned, they're all different things, and they're the things that will give you the spine of a story. And if you decide what it is, that's what is going to lead you to show what you have to show. And in this case, you have the woman, the story of the woman. But to make it even better, you have to have the story of the man. It looks like the man is the antagonist, but there's no story about him except what people are saying. And him coming to just talk about things. Do you understand? So there was no stake there. I mean, what did this guy do? And what is going to happen if he becomes president? What is it? There are just so many loopholes, and this is what we don't do in Nollywood. We have this fantastic idea. We don't wait to just really let it marinate, let different people read the story, let other people who may even be better than you look at it and make it so much better, because I think this story has potential. You understand? I was seeing it from the point of view of so many things going on today. You know what I'm saying? And it could have just been better if, look, movie making has rules. I don't care what you do. They've been doing it for over 100 years. If you don't do it right, yes, fine. Just because we don't have a lot of people making movies here, people will buy it. But when there's a whole lot of people making movies, they will not buy your film. Do you understand what I mean by that? In terms of the audience, when the audience has a whole lot of people that they can watch their films, they won't watch yours because it's not as good. Right now, they watch it because they don't have any that much stuff. But if they had taken this idea and built it up, it would have been so fantastic. So for me, before I even start looking at the details, I first look at the big thing, the spine of the story. What is your story about? And that's what I really do see much here. Another big thing I'm saying, and I say it in, hopefully the filmmakers that are here can also learn from it. That's why I thought, because I try to learn, I try to read, I try to watch things and see what other filmmakers are making. Set. If you're going to build a set, especially a set that's a house, you must designate what is the room, what is the exit outside, what is if you have an exit for people who for your bedroom, it means that nobody who is a stranger should go out from that room. So you see that set, it was built, it looked nice, but at some point, I don't know what the cinematographer was doing in terms of entrances and exits. You understand? So it had me going around, and maybe it's my fault. I might watch it again, but I just couldn't tell where is the entrance of the house, and then where is the because obviously they're trying to make us and her believe that that is a real house where she lives, and there must be a way to the bedroom, and then there must be. So for me, for example, I can't have the gentleman, her son, coming in from the same place the maid is coming in from, because obviously he shouldn't be going into her bedroom, right? And all that, those little things, and there are other things, but I just feel like I don't get the spine of the story, then there's no need going to the next to the other thing. The last thing I want to also say is the actors. I know those actors, they're good actors, but some of them were made to look average. Why? Because we didn't see why they were so urgent. And we didn't see why are you screaming? What is, because something is missing, and I can tell you it is not the actor's fault. it is when an actor looks like they're doing that okay, but you don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. It's the director's fault. Period. And that's my own opinion. You know. So there's sometimes actors were doing something I didn't know why they were doing it, and I feel maybe there's a feeling missing or something motivation. There's no motivation for this and motivation for that. So that's it for me. You know, it's like a lot of the things just lack motivation and the spine of the story. I didn't really understand. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mildred. Yeah, so I think Mildred's touched on a couple of the things I wanted to talk about. Yes, not setting up the villain didn't allow us to know what was at stake here, right? Like, and it's this kind of filmmaking that we used to do at some point at a much lower budget level, where it's called like, it feels like a sort of a mystery box, and it's just, don't worry. It is the point is just to keep you going. What's going on until the end, where it tells you whatever is going on, right? So, like, I think maybe one of the better examples of this is something like £7, movie starring Will Smith, and there are weird things going on, and you kind of have to just pull in, and like, a lot of people don't like that movie for a start, right? Because of how it does it. But even in trying to reveal what is going on or what will happen, you still have to show things that are interesting. Like, you still have to like make things good. And I don't mean interesting as in things that make people confused as to go, why is this happening? Like, you still have to show an interesting story going on. Now, like, I can imagine some people saying, yeah, at least it's shot well or something, which is, again, I think this was one where I said, like, there were some shots in here that were absolutely beautiful, and there were some that I didn't understand, like, it was like shot like they were in a stage play. It was all very flat. Sometimes because sometimes it does okay. I'm thinking about when they go to Ekpenyang's, Bas Ekpenyang's, our antagonist's house. It's just, everything is just from there whilst Mrs. Lawal sits on the sofa. It's all very flat and unengaging, and it's just weird for a film that has like such really good, beautiful shots to just be that bland and boring. But before we go to that, like, when I think about, Mildred talked about the spine of this story, and it's just a story. It's one of those, it reminds me of the setup. It's not as convoluted as the setup, but it's not too far off. It tried its best. It tried, because if you think about what the actual story is, it just doesn't make any sense. Because, okay, first off, why is this movie happening in the first place? Right. The movie is happening because some woman who was doing an NGO and her NGO wasn't working decided that she was going to kidnap somebody from mental institution in order to unravel a secret that happened 20 years ago. And then in doing this, she'll build a whole set. She'll build a whole entire house out of pictures that she's seen, and I guess kept for 20 years for whatever reason. She's going to do that so that she can get 100 million from somebody who had apparently been funding her, kind of. Like, what the hell is that? I mean, what? Like, and then if you think about actually, what's the main, Sarah's actual journey, like from the hospital to being into that home. It's like, what is she thinking? Is she like, where's her mind that, what, like, she's just, again, is she just back in the 90s, and what she's writing, she's typing stuff on her typewriter, and she didn't see no interaction. I know it was a psychiatric word, like, okay, what it was seeming like she doesn't know, like, phones and computers and stuff exist. I don't even know, like, was she not conscious during the journey from the hospital to the set, because like it's clearly a set. When you get on there, you have to climb up the stairs to enter the set, right? Speaking of the set, although it's nice, and I want to encourage people to build sets. It's very nice, but it felt like the set also limited a lot of the filmmaking, it seems, because all I could think of, and I imagine all I could think of is what's the plumbing like in this place? What's the plumbing like in this place? Does this lady pee? Does this woman shower? Does this woman use the taps in the plumbing? And is there anything good? Because like I don't know whether she was there for 3 months or 2 months or whatever, but she seems like she'd been there for a long time. But anyway, the mindset of this woman, I couldn't even see how she exited to her room in that set. Again, because I think if you think about when they built this set, that set probably doesn't have a back. It's probably not an actual room. What you see is just probably all that there is to that set. So it was difficult to show around. But it made the film feel like I was, very much on set. So in my head, it's like, if I'm not buying it, why is she buying it? Aside from that, okay, so that's this woman's plan. Our antagonist, when his plan is to, we'll follow we know where these people are. We'll follow them and pick the files of the cops. I don't know. Like the point is to, like, if they get it, we'll burn them. I don't know what the hell. All I was thinking is like, why not just kill them? Just kill everybody. Just kill the people involved. You've proven that you don't mind getting your hands dirty. You killed somebody. Like, why don't you just? What's the? Let's just burn the place where the thing might be in. I don't know. I don't get it. Why has Mrs. Eckert kept these files all along for 20 years? To what point? She's planning on releasing it? Like, the baby's dead. To her, everybody involved in it is dead. Why is she keeping it? Doesn't matter. Just there's no part of this story that survives scrutiny if you give it like a few minutes of thought. And that's a problem with the setup type movies and all of this. It lacks so much in a couple of things. All right. Lighting in the color places was kind of bad. It felt like they were still shooting for the black and white scenes because the lights were unnecessarily harsh for some reason, and they were too low a level where they were being shown from. The other thing is the editing is kind of bad. At first I was thinking maybe this is this woman's mindset, and then it happened when she wasn't there. There are times where somebody's speaking and it just cuts them in the middle of a speech and goes to, it's just sloppy editing. I said this one, and I praised half of this thing where I could hear Niyi's message in there, and unfortunately, it's a message of deep cynicism that I don't like. It's everybody. It's just bad. Everybody's here to. Everybody here has an agenda. The person that we think is really sort of nice and like that Daniel has written a lot about that, could say she's actually working in tandem, I guess, with the NGO. This is what Mrs. Lawal says. I don't know if it's true, but like nobody refutes it. Maybe she's an unreliable source for this, but like I don't know. Like it feels like that's the message we're supposed to be getting, because nobody here is good or trying to do good for the people. But yeah, I don't like this film a lot. I don't like this film a lot, but it's not, my dislike for it is not completely in proportion to how bad it is. All right. Okay. I think Domi came on, and then we'll go to you, Inkans, if you wanted to say more things. Domi.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So just one of the things I liked about the movie, I think most people have spoken about already, is the visuals. It was appealing to look at. But in terms of the things I did not like, most of which have been mentioned, I think the naming, like the title of the film itself, I felt was a bit of a misnomer. Just, or maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe I took it too literally. But the House of Lies, I assumed was them building that entire set to help her jog her memory. Meanwhile, everyone's not whom they say they are. But that was over in like the first 20 minutes where they end up telling us basically, oh, this is why we did this, we built this house, etc. So I'm like, so why is it called House of Lies? That's like you lied basically with your title because that's not the movie that you give to me. And then the second thing I did not like was it was marketed as I think it was marketed as a psychological thriller or a mystery at the very least. But there's this thing you get when you're watching mysteries or psychological thrillers where you're confused, but the confusion is deliberate on the part of the filmmaker. Like that's the state of mind they want you in, which I don't think this movie did very well. And I'll give an example. Like the closest I can think of is WandaVision. So when you start watching WandaVision, the show about, I think it's the Scarlet Witch, you're confused because you're watching this 70s soap-looking show. You're wondering what's happening. But then there are some scenes within the episodes where there's a glitch in the system. And then the viewers know that, okay, something is wrong, something's not quite right with the way these people are acting, but even with the way the story is being laid out, but you know it's deliberate. And then when we find this big reveal that, okay, all of this is something she created out of thin air, and then you have shots showing that, okay, it's actually modern day. This is just Wanda building a palace in her head. You're very, very confused up until the point where the big reveal happens. But when the big reveal happens, you get this sense of, oh, that makes sense now. I now understand why all these little things that were bugging me about this film, it ties well together. That doesn't happen in this film. Like, I think it's Mrs. C that mentioned you're playing a role in the film, but you're showing us the viewers that you're playing a role, which just takes everyone out of it. Like it would have been a great part of the mystery if you are committed to the role. We think this is 1999 because you're acting it so well. And then when you reveal to us that, oh, it's actually not 1999, this is all part of this big conspiracy, a house of lies, so to speak, to get this woman to remember things. And then there's a satisfaction as a viewer where your questions are answered about things you were not clear about because the filmmaker has put in these deliberate, I won't say misdirections, but it ties in the end because that's kind of film it is. This film did not give me that at all. I also did not like the information dumping. Most people have mentioned this, the whole telling rather than showing the story. And example, this happened in the first 10 minutes. And I think with Nigerian films, unfortunately, for me, I can tell if a film is going to be my cup of tea in like the first 10 minutes because they will do something or say something or the actors will act in a certain way where you know, okay, this might not be worth my time. So in the first 10 minutes of this movie, we're supposed to believe it's 1999, but then they tell us in like 10 different ways. You have Daniel bringing the old Naira notes, the newspaper mentioning that it is 1999. It calls Obasanjo's name. There's a typewriter. Like it was just a lot of things to just say, viewer, we need you to believe that this is 1999. So we're going to tell you very, very much so that it's 1999. And it was unnecessary because if you've built up the set the way it looks, if the dressing is correct, if the styles, the hairstyles for the characters are correct, you don't need to tell me so much for me to believe. You would have done a good enough job like showing me for me to believe it. And I think the last thing I'll mention is, I know we've said they didn't build up the villain so much that I would understand the motivations right about the things they're doing. But I also didn't think they built up the female candidates, the one people are supposed to root for, the one for whom the project was set up ostensibly. I know that's not the real reason, but that's what they told us. Because apart from Mrs. Lawal, it seemed the doctor, sorry, I've forgotten the other characters' names, but everyone else on the project apart from Mrs. Lawal seemed to believe in the vision of what they were doing. So it did not make sense to me that I didn't get how bad the villain was that you don't want him to be president. But I also didn't understand how good the female candidate was that you would give up so much of your time to partake in this whole production of getting someone to get you documents. An example, this is not being political, but you'd understand why people set up phone networks, representations, signed up to be Labour Party members because you sort of understood that they believed in the candidate they were supporting. But in this movie, you don't tell me why these people are so invested in helping this woman win. You don't tell me how bad the person they're trying to make lose is. So in my head, it's like, okay, all of you are start doing things for the sake of doing things. I don't get your motivation for doing them. I think apart from those are my main big issues with the movie. I didn't believe anything. I wasn't thrilled. There was no mystery. And in some parts, the acting was a bit spotty for me. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Jeremy. Enkans, what do you want to say? More to add? Enkans, are you
Yes,
there?
I have to add. So I just want to kind of I think people misunderstand me. I frankly do not necessarily care that they were using Russians. I was just using that as a what's it called? Indication, what's it called? As an indication of the continual of like a trend I see in Anthill and especially kind of Niyi's productions of just copying, pasting American things or and then putting it, not localizing it and putting it for Nigerians and thinking he has done something amazing. And it's not connecting to the audience and it's very clear where it comes from and it's not amazing. And it's very alienating. That's what I mean. You can do whatever you want on fiction. I'm one of the people that says that all the time. Um, many people have said some of the kind of things I wanted to say about why this film is not, it doesn't connect. It's also very shallow. It's a very, I think I've said that also, but also like as much as I like the set design, I'm not sure that's a set design that invokes like 90s Nigeria. Uh, I don't think, what other thing is the copy and paste is not only just copying and pasting. It literally, it takes, I feel like it takes what it likes from different other movies and then just copy paste it, like literal copy paste. He likes Rear Window. Who doesn't like Rear Window? Everybody likes Rear Window. A lot of people have copied Rear Window. Rear Window has been done so many times, but usually they tailor it to the story that they are saying. And that's an issue it needs to do. I feel like this is a shallow filmmaker. Kind of want the praise for the thing, but you are not necessarily working harder.
His
Sorry,
name
but
is making shallow. Not him, right? Like we don't know much about him. So we can't
no,
we
I'm
can't
not talking about. I'm not talking about his character. I'm
yeah,
not talking about his character. Okay, don't. I'm not talking about his character. I don't know. I don't know him. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about his filmmaking. His filmmaking is shallow. His filmmaking is shallow. That's what I mean. I don't know him. I don't know him. He may be a very nice person. I'm so sorry. I'm not fair. Nobody should. No, I'm not. I'm not talking about. Thank you for that. His filmmaking is shallow, and we've seen this over and over and over again. And I think he's a talent. I think he has talent because he can copy pretty well. And copying is also a very good something. It is the start of learning to do your own based on those who have come before you. Everybody copies. I'm not one of the persons that says something has to be original because there's nothing original. You just need to learn how to tailor it, and you kind of need to carry people there. Not very quickly, not very rushy, not very something. He has the talent. He clearly can do some things. He clearly loves He loves movies. He loves it. You can see that the fact that he loves movies because he takes from so many places. And it is just like I need him to progress his filmmaking from just copy paste.
All right. Thanks, Yanka. Ahmad, is this more bad or pushback?
I think it's bad, not pushback.
Okay.
So there was a part where she started to regain her memory, like the part where she was asking them, "Who are you people?" and she remembered Daniel. I was like, "Okay, what's happening? How come you remembered Daniel, but you didn't remember the rest?" So I think that was bad, and I knew, okay, this movie will be shit. Like this is going to be a bad one. So kind of, and Lincoln said something I wanted to say. I've forgotten actually.
She was comfortable with Daniel. I don't think she remembered him. I think she was just comfortable with him.
No, that was why she was asking, "Who are you people?"
I
didn't
think
remember. Like this lady had like a little good amnesia.
one day,
And
I think there were other people there, right?
It wasn't that she forgot them. It was that she realized that they were being
Dodgy.
yeah, exactly.
They
So
were
it's
not
like,
who they
who
said
are
they were.
you? Who are you for real? Not who are you? As like, what's your name and shit. But she remembered Daniel. It's the power of motherhood.
Yeah, that
I beg. That departed from you for like almost more than 20 years.
Yeah, I don't know how she remembered, but she did well. She even remembered the babe that came to shoot her for that at the train station. It was she one of
I don't think she remembered her. She asked,
had-
why do you know so much?
No, she was like,
She
you were
eventually remembered her,
you were
yeah.
there at the train station. She's got good memory.
I
She's
remember.
got- I think she remembered. I think she recognized Daniel from the
ultrasound.
yeah, not just from from the ultrasound maybe as well. Like,
She didn't say
no.
when it was passed out. It's from the
I remember
ultrasound.
what I say concerning what Oyinkan said. I think Mr. Niyi needs to like maybe hire writers to write his films.
This was written by him and someone else. He co-wrote this. I don't know. Like to be honest, I think there are things that writing issues, and there's some things that I just don't understand why you would have. Okay, so I'll give an example. There's a part where she sees the couple out in the balcony, and they've come out to. They've come out, right? And because she's a writer, right? Celebrity writer. She's wheeling her wheelchair she needs to get there quick. Oh, she needs to get there quick before they go. She needs to get there. Oh my God. Oh no, the typewriter needs to load some ink. I'm like, what are you doing? Just look and type the thing you saw late. It seemed like she was pretend. This only makes sense if you're a photographer and maybe you need to get the shot, because like if you don't get the shot, you need to load your film, or you need to load your battery or film SD card. You need to load the SD card, or you need to load the battery. If not, if they leave, then the opportunity is gone. I don't understand why she was looking at the person and she needed to type it. If not, as soon as they left, oh no, she can't type again. Just type what you saw. And that's just simple. Why have you put that in? You can't have. I don't know that somebody thought through that, because I don't understand what. Maybe the amnesia. She was worried about the amnesia would kick in like immediately. I don't know, because like there are so many things in there that just made me go, okay, all right, this is not going to be the one that changes my. I spoke about. I think I've previously praised Niyi on color grading. I think during the man for the job, I said maybe I like a lot of Niyi's the look in the colors in Niyi's film. I was like, I think maybe Niyi might be my favorite color grader. No. This one is spoilt. This one's spoilt. This one, it doesn't look good. There's some blue and pink magenta thing going on here that's just not good for the scenes with color. It comes out more ugly than I'd like, to be honest. But I think generally it was yeah.
Something about the amnesia has just occurred to me as well, and honestly, it's really the problem with thinking about it, because talking about it has made me think about some stuff, and it's like thinking about it just makes it not make sense. Her memory, apparently her what amnesia was localized, and she cannot remember anything associated with the traumatic incident. So she can remember her life leading up to, like, is she missing chunks of her life from? She can remember chunks of her life up until the post office meet and greet, right? Like,
She can remember.
up until they meet at the post office, she can remember them.
She can remember Auntie Eket.
This is the movie not
Yes, you
supposed
can
to
remember
think so much
Auntie
about.
Eket, because, like, Auntie Eket was not at the train station, right? Auntie Eket was not part of that traumatic incident. Because
she is, but okay.
So, like, just everything, because, like, the trauma was
the
from
script to work.
because it's something. Because I remember they told her she had a sister, right? And this is her niece, and the sister's coming. So she remembers her life up until that point. How old is this sister of hers that has a child that is this big? Because let's say she met what's his face? Panam. Let's say she met Panam at 23, right? She's young. It's her first post office job. She meets Panam at 23. She doesn't remember her sister up until that point, right? So her sister is born when she's 23 or 24, and she has a child that is grown as fuck with her own. It's the more I'm thinking about this amnesia, the more it doesn't make sense. Like, the cover story doesn't make sense. The cover story they give her doesn't make sense. Her amnesia doesn't make sense. The fact that she buys the story doesn't make sense. And, like, the best I can think of is that being in a Nigerian psychiatric institution for 20 odd years must have just done some sort of irreparable damage to her processing.
She just has brain problems.
Yes.
Whatever brain problems it needs
So I'm not
for the
reading
script to
now.
work. All right. Okay. Let's just do the summary. All right. Do you want to give us a quick summary for what you thought about The House of Secrets?
I thought that this movie has some pretty good art direction. Some visual it was, in many ways, in many scenes, it was visually stimulating. The story was, you shouldn't think too much about it, just buy it as the way it is, because if you do, it falls apart. The characters, they fall apart. This is not a newer. Black and white doesn't make it a newer because there is not really, like, characters that you don't necessarily know. The male main character is trustworthy. He's more heroic than necessary, but whatever. The movie is shallow, just like Blonde is shallow. You enjoy. There's a feast for your eyes. Is there storytelling behind it? No, but you can watch it. As I always say, movies are for afternoon something. Put it on. If you don't like it, change it. There are many movies around the world. Go to that one. Do whatever. It's your own enjoyment. That's it.
All right, thanks. Omar, what did you think?
This movie, I think I would recommend it for an average Nigerian audience, someone who don't really like, think too much about movies. But I would not recommend this movie to someone maybe like who is not Nigerian, or someone who, is more like a critic, kind of. So, but I don't think I will watch it again. I give them a C for the intention. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
C for intention. It's supposed to be I for intention, but whatever, man. All right, Shagan.
Not intention.
Oh, good. Shagan, please give us a summary.
Yeah, I mean, after listening to everybody's comments and everything, I would just like to say that the Nollywood, there's a lot of work that has to be done, and I think with respect, for instance, now everybody's talking about stories, lighting. Look, in film, lighting, there's just one basic rule to lighting with key lights, fill lights, practicals, rim lights. Once you do all that, once you follow those basic steps, then whatever else you do with your lighting really shouldn't matter. What is important is that if you set out to tell a story, tell it properly. I think the issues we're having, we are seeing copy and paste. There's nothing wrong with copy and paste, but I mean, execute it properly. And I feel like the problem with Nollywood is that a lot of directors have come out of film school or wherever they come from and just jumped headfirst into major projects, feature film projects that they can't seem to control everything that is going on at the same time. Because I even feel with all these big projects, there's even handling the top stars, in the movie alone is a headache. We're now thinking about all the other departments of the movie. And I keep saying you have a budget, and everybody keeps talking about budget, and the budget. When we criticize films, they talk about budgets, and it doesn't make sense to me. When we have streaming apps, we have streaming services now. Spend little money, collaborate with certain people, make 20-minute projects. Give us 6 episodes. I mean, whenever Black Mirror comes out, even this last Black Mirror that came out that we didn't really like, people still watched it. So collaborate with people, give us 20 minutes, shoot 20 minutes of stuff, and put your all into it. When you have done like 3 or 4 different 20-minute stuff, then you progress. So do it, collaborate with people, and release one body of work that has 4 or 5 episodes, different directors, even the same director, shoot something short, and you know that you can control all the problems and issues you will face and challenges, and then progress from there. But we don't listen. Everybody will argue, will say a budget problem, and you keep on giving us the same crap with improvements here and there, and that's the loop that we are stuck in. So I just hope that it improves. As far as this movie is concerned, it's a good step forward from what I've seen in the past. Like I said, I've already stated all the things that are important to me, especially audio. They paid attention to audio. For me, what kept me into this movie was the audio kept me going. The film, the soundtracks, the movie, the soundtracks that dictated pace in some places. And yeah, some of all the blunders and all that were possible. But I mean, I expect if we are not going to improve on this feature length type things, let them. There's nothing wrong with going back to working on smaller projects, but will they hear? We don't know. Yeah, as far as rating is concerned, I'll give it, in the Nigerian context, I'll give it a 7/10. That's my take.
All right, that's worrying. Thanks, Shagu. Mildred, please, can you tell us
There's no
the
Nigerian
general?
context in anything. We are all on the same damn platform, for goodness sake. We're on the platform, we're on Prime, we're on Netflix. The whole world is watching. So this is not when we used to go to DVD, so they didn't care about us now because they are somewhere else. They might not see our DVD, but even then, people abroad used to buy it. People used to take our films over there. So there's no, in any Nigerian context, it's just in context of film. So one day I was complaining about budget, and my auntie looked at me and said, if you're writing the story, what's budget then? And will you not at least try and do something good? Since that is not costing you as much money. And if the story is good, it makes it so much easier. But you see, stories are hard to make. And I think that Nollywood is still yet to committing to spending some time with the story. Nollywood is still yet not ready to commit to storytellers, writers. You understand, that are really writers that they have their own point of view, they're independent, they don't need to bow down to anybody. You need to find those kinds of writers and collaborate with them. You can't be saying to me, I'm going to come watch a psychological thriller and the dialogue is basic. We can't do that. The dialogue needs to be popping, you know what I mean? So that people at different stages of life can understand it, you know what I mean? So when you make a film, there's some people that understand it. I have 3 levels. There's people that understand it at that the very highest level, then there's the mid, and then there's the third people. But we can't be making films and every is at the third level, you know, and then we say it's a psychological thriller. Do you understand? The word. So for example, the character that Ajitejede plays, you can tell that she's been passing as a very brilliant person. So the words that should be coming out of her mouth, especially for somebody who's been locked up for 20 years, they need to be on a certain level that is a bit different from what I watched. You understand? And this is just me gisting. We have to, if filmmakers gisted, agreed, remove some of these egos we have, and I'm saying all of us, and gisted about our films, we would get better. But it doesn't seem like we're getting better. We're just getting better in terms of looks, how it looks, and all that. It doesn't work if the actual story doesn't hit you. I was ready when I saw the trailer. I was ready to go have fun watching the show. Um, it didn't make it to that point, but at least this year I've had two where I was excited about Nollywood films. So I'm still hopeful that next time I will run back again to go and watch and see if we make it. My last point is for us people here critiquing. I think sometimes we need to write down what we want to say and make this point in a very organized fashion so that people can take away from it. Sometimes the way we just throw it around, a filmmaker will just say, "What's this person talking about?" and just walk away. We can be we can be a bit more organized. If you're asking for people to make these films, then you as well must be organized about the way you present your own ideas so that you can learn from it. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks, Mildred. I think to me, please, do you want to give us your own summary?
Yeah. Hello. When I finished watching what's it called, The House of Secrets, I felt that something was off, but like I really couldn't put a finger on what was off. But then I was just like discussing the film with a friend, and that was when I realized that the problem was that the film wasn't giving anything. It was a very, would I say, very underwhelming story. And despite the film's length of almost 2 hours, the film doesn't tell a story. It just gives us a sequence of events and narratives that we are supposed to use to, will I say, honestly, I really don't even know because it wasn't even like, I mean, on the surface it's a story, but beyond the like sequence of events that happens, there's really nothing beneath the sequence of events. It's just things happening. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And also, like I was telling myself, okay, maybe this is one of his best works, but then calling it one of the best even sounds a bit too far fetched. So I really don't know. The film was just there. Yeah, just there.
All right, thanks to me. Rotimi?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My main focus from my main takeaway from watching House of Secrets, which was immediately I saw the trailer, it kind of struck me, was just from the cinematography and the set design, which is that whole let me not do like let me throw the baby away with the bathwater. No, let me hold on to what I think. I think it's a very good idea, a very good habit, and should be inculcated going forward. The idea of building your own sets where you have control over where so it affects both your set design and both your lighting, which also aids the cinematography and the visual storytelling. I think that's a good thing. I think that it's something that other people can emulate and more people can use if it's done properly. I think that some of the best shots that we got from this thing was directly because they had access to a place where they could control the set they were building and also the lighting. So I think that that's a good thing. I think now we should encourage more of that because it will only help improve at least the visual storytelling. Um, the only thing I can say, I have no real the story. I really notice I didn't say anything a lot about the story because I'm like it's art is open to interpretation. Everybody can either you can use to emulate, you can borrow your influence from somewhere. You can probably try and localize it a little bit better. So I'm okay with that. The attempt at the story, but I think that what really gets into me is that like we still have this gap in between our intention and our actual execution because that's really what people when somebody says anybody's professional, they're not looking at the standard of your industry. They said, oh, this person, they're expecting, especially now, I don't know for what reason, we have now accepted the fact that anything that goes on a streaming platform does not mean we're going to get the best, highest filmmaking. But I'm just like, okay, everybody's like, there's a particular standard they're expecting or a particular quality. My own is that we need to bridge the gap between what we are intending to do and what we actually execute. And that also now still comes back when we still talk about story. This is where maybe I will agree on the issue of story, is the issue of ambition. This story, can we pull it off? Can we make something visually captivating and like, can all the dots connect if we decide to choose this particular story? And I think that's the thing, is between intention, execution, there's a gap. There's a huge gap, and that's why somebody can say, oh, I'm constantly disappointed with all of this stuff. I don't think that everything is per se all that bad, but it's like, what story are you trying to tell? How well can we execute considering the limited resources that we have? Because there's a small reality that we cannot escape. The economy of Nigeria is not far from the economy of our film industry. So if we're trying to tell a very ambitious story, but we don't have enough resources, everything in terms of cast, technical quality, and everything to pull off, should we really be telling those kind of stories? Because it will weaken our execution, and everybody just assume. There's a saying that if if you judge a fish by how well it climbs up a tree, you spend your whole life thinking that that fish was stupid. Maybe it shouldn't be trying to climb up a tree. Maybe the fish should be in water. What can you tell? What's the best story you can tell considering your resources? So, and even if that makes you look like, oh, there's a kind of story you're telling, at least execution. Because I'll take a simpler story, but with better execution, knowing well that, okay, I'm getting this, than as opposed to a very bold attempt, but doesn't quite nail the execution, because nobody's going to really, for your attempt, they are not going to give you props for the attempt. Maybe your close associates, but the audience is not going to give you props for an attempt. They want the very, for whatever reason, whether it's fear or not, they just believe they should get the best. So yeah, the House of Secrets is a very, I like the ambition. I like the idea of going for this kind of story. So I think the execution is 100%, not necessarily, but the idea is not bad. The idea to try something like this is not bad. So that's my own. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Rotimi. Demi, please can you give us a summary of your general thoughts on the House of Secrets?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thanks. Mrs. C?
Yeah, I would recommend this to a number of people who watch Nollywood, with the caveat of no to reason.
All right. Okay, so for me, I can't get over. I just found this quite annoying myself. I don't like it in a very, very Mr. C way, very personal way, because like it's a type of filmmaking I don't particularly like. Some of those shots, the black and white shots, I still think put that up there with anything we've seen. With a lot of the things we've seen, they're just really pretty. I just wish they were in a better movie with a coherent story. I think I put up a poll, but I think earlier in the week, asking how many twists or reveals would this film have, and I can't remember which one won, but whoever the people that said more than 6 were actually correct. I don't like that thing where like you think doing a big reveal is enough. It's not enough. The story still has to be good, and the story still has to be It makes sense. It still has to be engaging. You still have to follow a couple of the filmmaking rules to make it make sense and gripping for me. So like this is just I didn't enjoy this at all. But yeah, that's me though. If you have something different, feel free to stay in comments. Or next week we'll be back with something. We might do a topic because we've had a run of Nollywood movies now, and I think some people might be getting tired. We haven't hit a good spurt in a bit. But thanks for everyone who's come and who's listened to all of us. Thanks to all our speakers who've said a thing or two. And we will speak to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday, 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.